your guides to a really great financial future. Tom and Don are talking real money.
Welcome to yet another Talking Real Money, exciting money talking, money making, money saving, money spending, money investing podcast that we do here all the time. I am Don McDonald, sitting here in the palatial Florida studio of Talking Real Money. And over there, you have the inimitable Mr. Thomas Seacock in the Thomas Seacock Memorial Office Space
Ooh,
in
ouch.
Bellevue, Washington.
Something happened I'm unaware
Yeah,
of. I'm watching this from somewhere else. That's kind of
Welcome to Purgatory.
which will be lengthy in my case, I'm sure. So got that coming.
We are here to try and help you manage money. And one of the ways we do that is to share weird stuff we hear. The other is to take your questions at 855-935-TALK or online at talkingrealmoney.com. So please send us questions. And today we're going to talk about something that we have discussed for many, many years. Exchange-traded funds. Exchange-traded funds are a lot like the regular old open-end mutual funds that have been around since the 30s. The 30s. You know, I think they started in the late 20s.
1920s.
Not 2020s, 100 years ago.
Just got to make sure you say that.
Roughly.
Today's world.
About 90 years ago. But in the past couple of decades, this new kind of fund has emerged that is, to understand it is a little more difficult because there's complexity to the way they're structured, which is one of the reasons why both Tom and I have been a little reticent to give full-throated endorsement to the concept of ETFs. There have been another number of other things, like the flash crash, where we wondered if the market makers were going to actually make the market they promised to make. But it turns out that worked out, and they have become very mainstream products with great tax advantages to investors in that there are no internal capital gains taxes incurred.
And you might want to explain
trading.
why that is. That's an interesting, because of the structure of the fund.
The way they're structured, the money doesn't actually leave the portfolio. It moves between market makers. I don't know. It's complicated.
Well,
but
they're not creating a new share for somebody who buys the fund either.
Right.
So it's a little different than a mutual fund.
So they create new shares as well. They actually do. As money comes in, they create new shares with the market makers. But again, the whole point is these are easy to trade, tax advantaged. They trade minute to minute, which is one of the drawbacks we found to these early on. But for an index product, that's not a big drawback. Their fees are ridiculously low because of their very inexpensive management structure, particularly for the index products. And so we're liking them a lot more.
Man, you make a very good point. Because people say, well, do you just believe in exchange-traded funds? Not all of them. Because they're still crummy, high-expense ETFs. So today we want to make sure you understand we're talking about index or index-like exchange-traded funds. And the reason this topic comes up is the largest conversion of mutual fund to ETFs occurred in the last week when Dimensional Fund Advisors, a fund family we think very highly of that manages about $630 billion, took $30 billion of tax-managed mutual fund money and converted that with no taxation into exchange-traded funds. So they now have a U.S. equity exchange-traded fund, a U.S. core equity, a U.S. small cap, and a U.S. targeted value. And shortly, later this summer and fall, they will add an international and an emerging markets fund. So they will have really a full suite of exchange-traded funds that anyone can own. Remember, previously with dimensional funds, you, the public, could not own them. You had to go through an advisor like us. You can go get these on your own should you want to. And the expense ratios are very low. The U.S. equity exchange-traded fund, as you mentioned, Don, is only 8 basis points. The most expensive is targeted value at 30 basis points. It's a little harder to operate a value fund in some ways. But
and what's interesting about this, though, is that we have seen a lot of ETFs created. Fidelity has created them. Schwab has created them. Vanguard's created them. But they created them. They started a new ETF that was much like For example, VT and VTWAX are in essence the same portfolio, but VT is the exchange traded version, and VTWAX is the mutual fund version. What DFA did is very unique. They actually took an existing mutual fund and turned it into an ETF. And the reason they did that is to save the investors in the tax managed mutual funds a taxable event in the process of converting over.
And now you have a security that is actually lower in cost, and the expense ratio is less. You can trade them for zero, right? And then you mentioned this tax advantage of the internal capital gains that don't exist. So in a taxable account, this makes total sense. And by the way, Dimensional is not the only player here. They've been a little late. We got to chide them a little bit to getting into exchange traded funds. They're protective of folks like ourselves that didn't necessarily want the whole public to be able to buy their products. We also use a product called Avantis, which has a similar tilt to small and to value, very low cost.
Explain why it has a very similar tilt.
Well,
to
these
DFA.
are people that worked at Dimensional for many years and left and start. Well, I think, but Dimensional should get a little whack on the side of the head for this, because many people for many years asked them, "You're going to do ETFs?" No, we're not going to be. And they're kind of conservative. And so this other group said, well, then we'll just go do it on their own. And they've been around now for, I think, a year and a half and have raised a lot of money because they had this product that people wanted that Dimensional could have offered. So Dimensional a little slow in making all this happen. But this conversion does open up these funds to everyone. This conversion offers now a product that we think is a very fine one, and again, you can own them with no trading fees. So it's
which is really nice. Now, to be totally transparent, we have for a very long time stuck with strictly mutual funds in our portfolio. Then, not long ago, we started adding a little bit in the way of ETFs on the bond side, but now as our comfort level increases for our clients, we are going to be using more and more ETFs for a very, very good, for two very good reasons. In a taxable account, it will reduce your tax hit a bit. But the biggest reason for doing this is it lowers your overall costs.
Lowers the cost and zero to trade. By the way, so when we now have an exchange traded fund portfolio where the average cost is 10 basis points.
And here's what's fascinating about that.
Points.
There are mutual funds. I got a call yesterday from people who had C shares of funds, C shares that had an annual they got these from their stockbroker, okay, who doesn't charge them an annual fee, but they're paying an annual fee to the mutual fund company of 1.9 to 2% per year, and they're getting no management. They're getting no portfolio advice, no life advice,
financial
no planning advice.
Right.
Whereas you could come to Vestry and for just over 1%, get great products and advice. I don't know why people still go to stockbrokers.
It's inertia.
Yeah, it's inertia.
I know them. They're friends. I see them at
the office down the street. I drive by it every day.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you know who you are, the office that they drive by every day.
And we don't want to go there because we had a very unpleasant experience with one of those broker dealers this week too. So
well, they had proprietary funds.
And they just went ahead and sold them instead of, figuring out how to transfer them. The client's going to face a big tax bill. I mean, to me, it's outrageous behavior. But
I think it's outrageous to have mutual funds that are not transferable from one custodian to another.
There's nothing they're doing there that is so special that you need to own those funds. They're going to tell you there is, but we can tell you from the track record, it's not going to happen. So.
Call us at 855-935-TALK, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and leave your question. You can also type your question in, if you must, at talkingrealmoney.com.
Oh, don't type. Don is going to get mad.
Speak. I like it when you speak.
He wants to hear you.
And, everybody's getting a decent mic now for their computers because of Zoom calls and things and FaceTime and all that stuff. So there's a button at talkingrealmoney.com. You can click that button, and then you can speak your question. And we'll answer it on the podcast.
And we'd like to hear your voice.
Very exciting. I have a question for you. It was a typed in one because I still have a ton of those. I've only gotten up to June 10th on our typed questions.
You're running a little late there.
I'm trying to get them in, but you're slow answering them.
I knew it was going to be on me somehow.
It's all your fault. Okay, here's the question. You ready? I love the way it starts out. Okay, I'm convinced.
Ooh.
I want to be more broadly invested in large and small, blend and value, international and US, but I see the small cap and small cap value has made such a run in the last 5 or 6 months, and I don't think it's a good time to put new money into small cap and small cap value. How do I get my portfolio rebalanced into the broader market without timing the trades?
Oh, let's give you how recent the performance of small value has been. Because I have that right here in the Dimensional Funds Matrix book.
Oh, it's so
Because
handy you have that.
We can go back to 1928.
Yes.
How's that for a kind of lengthy run?
I just want the last 5 or 6 months.
I see. The last 5
You
or
don't
6
have those.
months.
That's the Matrix book. That only gives you through 2020.
The last 5 or 6 months have been very good, but let's just look at the last very, 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 very long. So there's your $1 in 1928.
Yeah.
And today, or the end of last year, $93,000. Now, instead, you're going to own, because you do, U.S. large companies, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know where the $1 in that same period of time has gone to?
Like 4,000.
No, 10,000. But still,
okay.
Would you rather have the 10 or the 92?
Well, you'd rather have both because
Yes,
that
you would rather
92
have
has
both.
been a painful ride.
It has.
And this is what I'm going to say to this question
Sorry.
is the last 5 or 6 months have not begun to make up for the horrific period that small cap had over the last decade plus.
Yeah, the performance is poor compared to U.S. large cap stocks.
And if you think you're going to get in at the absolute bottom of any market, you're delusional and you're a market timer.
And let me
the
go
way
ahead
to
and,
avoid market timing is to stop market timing.
Yeah, and let me point something out. Don and I are both rapidly advancing in age, and we are
Everybody's advancing at the exact same rate.
Oh, pardon me.
I just wanted to clear that
I
up
just
for you.
mean that we're on the higher end of the spectrum.
Oh, okay.
And we are, by the way, still every 2 weeks buying U.S. small cap value stocks.
Yep.
Every 2 weeks.
Yep.
Keep doing it.
Yep.
I'm going to keep doing it probably, I'll make a bet, to within 10 years of my death.
And here's part of the problem, and I see it in your question, and I see it in hundreds or thousands of others. The same thing. Quit thinking about it. You're overthinking it. You have the mistaken belief that you could have, if you'd only known, gotten into it. If I'd only believed this 5 or 6 months ago, I would have gotten into small cap value. No, you wouldn't have, because you didn't believe it 5 or 6 months ago. You believe it now. Now is the time. Do it. Discipline is essential to making investing, not gambling, work.
And by the way, this is a very good point, that patience is everything. And we don't know when the premium, this is what the academics call it, the premium is paid by owning U.S. small cap value. You know, the last time we had a run like this for U.S. small cap value, I bet you don't know. A guy named Trump was elected president, and there was about a 3-month period after he was elected, right up to the time he was inaugurated, where U.S. small value went straight up.
And then it went down.
Yeah. Don't know when it's coming. Don't know when it's coming next. Don't care. I'm going to own a diversified portfolio of all of these stocks, because some parts of that will be great. Some parts will be in the middle. Some parts won't be very good. But over the long haul, that has meant slightly larger returns and slightly less volatility. That's it.
And that's the point. We're not trying to score home run after home run after home run. We are just hitting singles over and over and over again. And that's how you win the game, is by slowly moving forward. You just have to trust that this has worked in the past, and know that we don't know what the future will bring.
Can I make one other change to that, by the way? That's a very old analogy going way back.
Are we going to do soccer now?
Hat trick. No, okay. Just trying to do something simple.
Wow, see, you've gone to the obscure sports again.
Obscure
Hockey.
to you, not to the world.
Hockey?
Still obscure to the world.
Yes. Okay.
Soccer, global. We're thinking global investing, global sports. That's where we're going.
Yeah, but okay, the soccer analogy falls apart because
Okay.
you're way underinvested in the United States.
Oh, by the way, the Matrix book, which I just showed you, pointed out that at the end of last year, you know what the
Yeah.
U.S. percentage of the global market is now? The U.S. market cap
54, I believe.
57.
Ooh,
57%
gone up.
of the value of stocks is now here. So
Do you know what that tells you, though? If you are looking at valuations, that should tell you that the U.S. market may be a bit overvalued,
ooh, you
and
think?
the international markets are kind of a bargain.
You mean
because
buy the things that haven't gone
50-50
up
has
as
been
much?
50-50's been the number for quite some time.
So buy the things that haven't gone up.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
advice.
There you
Very
go.
good advice.
And the trick really is just to buy it all in the proper proportions over and over again as you earn money and then rebalance.
Well, the
period.
key
Too
before
simple.
that is to be willing to save something, not spend it all, then invest
Oh,
it.
oh, yeah, that
Remember,
goes
half
without
of
saying.
America saves nothing. So
If you don't save, you won't be investing.
there's no reason to listen to this podcast, sorry to say.
Well, but I figure those are the people who aren't listening.
Good chance. Or they just
Or
tune in for the jokes or the soccer analogies.
They
Either way.
didn't tune in for the jokes, certainly not for the soccer.
Okay, well, I'm
analogy.
always hoping. Darn
It's
it.
not going to become. I'm just telling you, in your lifetime, soccer is not going to be. It's not. They're not going to go apple pie and soccer.
No, which I'm okay with, by the way.
It's not going to be the all-American.
As long as I
sport.
have the apple pie, I am good.
Exactly. All right. Here's the deal. You can call us anytime with your questions at 855-935-TALK. You can leave your questions, type them up, or speak them at talkingrealmoney.com. If you got a bigger issue and you need help, you can get free help from our Vestry advisors without any obligation cost or high-pressure sales pitch. We will not manage your portfolio for free. That is a terrible business model, and it means inevitable bankruptcy. Bad business model. It would be like McDonald's. You just pull up. It's free. Hey, it's free today. Free every day. Take it all. But once in a while, they give you $1. They give you fries for $1. Take advantage of the deal. This is a deal.
Good point. Does this come with fries? You want fries with
that? I got to tell you.
You're going to do the fry thing here?
But their fries, I
think they're still among the best.
They are great fries.
Really
I have to give them that. They have
those Idaho
great
potatoes, I think.
And they're just the right, they're not too thin where they get like potato chips, and they're not too thick where they're like mushy in the middle. They're just right. Anyway, go to Vestry.com, set up an appointment with one of our advisors. That's our $1 fry deal for you. If you want to become a client, sure, we'll take you. If you don't, no hard feelings. We're happy to help everybody. Go to Vestory.com, Vestory.com, and give us a holler or set up an appointment and harass Tom mercilessly.
I'm here just for
that. He loves that.
If no other reason.
I think he's the mistake is he keeps giving out his phone number to everybody, and so
no more
they text him all the time.
Text.
They always are texting him, making fun of him. He's easy to make fun of.
We're not going there. Let's leave it at the fries, okay? That's good enough.
You want fries with that?
Exactly.
Thanks for listening. Leave a review at Apple Podcasts. Tell your friends and neighbors about the podcast. Because really, what, you keep it to yourself? Why? Doesn't diminish the value. Do I have anything else I need to add, Tom?
I think that should do it for today.
All right. Thanks for listening. I'm Don. That there is Tom over there. And he just kind of sits around thinking about money.
We hope you realize that the information provided on Talking Real Money is for educational and hopefully enjoyable purposes only. Providing personalized financial planning or investing advice takes time, so please consult with a really good fee-only fiduciary investment, tax, or legal advisor. We know a good one. Investing must always involve risk. In other words, you can and probably will lose money at times. Also, as much as you want it, no one can accurately, consistently predict the future. So past performance doesn't tell you a darn thing about what the future will bring. Unlike many other programs that say something similar, Talking Real Money is not trying to get you to buy or sell any financial products or securities. Instead, the program is provided as a public service by Vestry, a fee-only registered investment advisor. Thanks for listening, and please visit talkingrealmoney.com for more information and disclosures. Are we done now?